Let's go. Let's go. We got a very important live stream tonight, of course. We already know a question is going to take over tonight's live stream. Is Ruben Randall an all-time better wide receiver than Jarvis Landry? I knew that was the question that every single one of you guys wanted to talk about tonight. And we will talk about that. If you Venmo Cash App, you can ask any question LSU football related. As you guys know, the Super Chats move to the front of the line. So once again, if you support me, I immediately answer your question. So obviously, we're going to talk about the head coaching search. And I'm going to do the same thing we did in our last live stream. My number one candidate, if we get a $50 super chat, I'll talk more about my number one candidate. So obviously, we've done 2 deep dive videos plus the Kentucky film study, right? And there have been a lot of videos and a lot of just chatter around LSU football. Today we talked about Max Johnson and Garrett Nussmeier, along with Miles Brennan. And obviously, thank you, Simplify. I got to come try some of your crawfish in the 337. Let's go. So that was obviously a big deal, but honestly, it is time for us to figure out who the new leader of the LSU football program will be. And this is what we do on PHL. We always show love to the students that watch our channel, including PLG. They're with Alex Bregman. How cool is that? So it's funny because Tony, he is so busy with his everyday work life in Tennessee. Also, Tony is very active in his church in Tennessee. Rarely is he able to hang out with us. And ironically, I am wearing the shirt that Tony gave this channel. Oh, you're a mobile crawfish company. I like that, man. Simplify says he's throwing a free crawfish bowl for all the PHL super chatters tonight. I'll hire you if we can get enough super chatters. I'm just throwing this out there. I'm thinking about scheduling a meetup for the Arkansas game. Stay tuned for that. We've got a lot to get to, though. As always, as Dalton says, Cordell Flott for Heisman. You hear the Jerry DiNardo stuff. You hear all these different questions about which coach could get Arch Manning when we have Walker freaking Howard. I'm kidding. It would be nice to get Arch. Roger said he's going to be there. I like it. But this is how I feel about Garrett Nussmeier, Max Johnson, and the future of this program, right? So obviously, Max has not taken the step in the right direction in these last couple of games, okay? And we go straight to the head coach chatter. President of BHL, Cliff. My number one candidate for OC for the Cowboys is Kellen Moore. So let's do this, okay? So the poll question for tonight, and you see how that works? If you super chat, we go straight to your question, okay? If I'm answering another super chat, we go in order, okay? This is what I want to discuss right now, okay? How hard is it to get an NFL offensive coordinator to be the head coach of a college program? Well, it's really hard, right? So let me ask you this question. If you're Kellen Moore, and I actually interviewed Kellen Moore before at the Senior Bowl, if you're Kellen Moore, do you leave the Dallas Cowboys offensive coordinator position to go to the college game a level of football I believe Kellen Moore has never coached to be the college head coach for the LSU Tigers. Okay? No. If I was Kellen Moore, look, this is how I view it, okay? And it's the same thing with Eric Bieniemy as well, all right? If I can be the NFL offensive coordinator and I have a bona fide top 10 quarterback on my team, I'm not leaving that offensive coordinator job. There is a reason why Josh McDaniels never left New England. Okay. He tried to go be a head coach, but there's something to be said when all you do is call plays, right? You don't have to go recruit. You don't have to go college scouting. You don't have to deal with the ins and outs of being a college football coach. Yes, the money is better at the college level, but do you know how much more pressure it is to be the LSU football head coach than it is to be most NFL head coaches? There is more pressure on being like the LSU head coach or the Ohio State head coach than there probably is pressure to be the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars or whoever. There's just so much more you have to do as a college head coach, okay? The bottom line, and Campbell, I'd put your comment up, but you did curse. So once again, I don't mind cursing, but I don't want to get demonetized. I actually almost put your comment up, but your comment is right on cue. The Master Blaster is here. Okay. So to answer Simplify and Cliff's super chat, if I were Kellen Moore, I am never leaving the Dallas Cowboys head coaching or offensive coordinator position until I get an NFL head coaching job, or I'm not going to lie. And Cliff, you follow the Cowboys more closely than I do. The bottom line is this. And this is just how I feel. You guys might feel a completely different way about this. Looking at the Dallas Cowboys situation, if Kellen Moore got an NFL head coaching job, Jerry Jones would fire Mike McCarthy and let Kellen Moore be the Dallas Cowboys head coach. Because Kellen Moore is more important to that operation. In fact, Dan Quinn is more important to the operation right now than Mike McCarthy, who is a very replaceable head coach. So whether it's Kellen Moore or Eric Bieniemy, and once again, this is a PHL exclusive. I don't have any special intel on this. Eric Bieniemy will be the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs within the next year or year and a half. Andy Reid will step down from the Kansas City Chiefs, hand the keys to the operation Eric Bieniemy within the next year and a half. Okay. Andy Reid has obviously had a health scare recently. His son is going to be involved in a very nasty legal situation. And the only reason Andy Reid's son, with what happened, it had to deal with Andy Reid leaving the his son leaving the Chiefs practice facility, and he was drinking. So I think that's just my bold prediction within the next year, especially if the Chiefs keep losing. Andy Reid, that they'll still get in the playoffs as a wild card, and Andy Reid will step down in the next year or 2 years. Okay. Now I don't want that to happen because I like Andy Reid a lot, but if I'm Eric Bieniemy, I just don't leave being the offensive coordinator of Patrick Mahomes if you know in the back of your head that could happen. Okay. King Robert is in the building. One of our many cancer warriors on PHL. Okay. You guys love it when Robert's here. We go to Roger right here with a very generous super chat. Thank you so much again, Robert. Or Roger, excuse me. This is Roger. Roger and Robert are they're up there. as far as Roger and Robert, two of our biggest supporters. Let's go to Roger's super chat here. Who would you rather get your first head coach who plays into January or your second? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Would you rather get your first choice for a head coach who plays into January or your second choice in mid-December? Okay, I see what your question is. So Roger's question has more to do with the timing, okay? So let me answer this, Roger, and Roger, just send a type so I can put your comment up there. T-Mill, what's good? Jaden, what's good? So Franklin or Napier? I think Orgeron finish out the season. So, Roger, this is such a great question. I think the most important thing, and this is so key, I think we are overemphasizing the recruiting aspect of the LSU head coaching job. Okay? Now, people are going to run with this and say, well, Power Hour LSU says recruiting doesn't matter. No, it matters. It is the most important thing. Don't get it twisted. Jimmy's and Joe's beat X's and O's every day of the week. However, scheme is more important within the LSU context for two reasons. The first is our schemes are so bad right now, okay? The way we run our offense is way too complicated. We're trying to run the 2019 offense. We don't have to run the 2019 offense. And if you don't have, you can't really run that offense, okay? It has more to say with him than it has to say with Max Johnson. And we did a video on this earlier. And then also schematically, defensively, we have a mess, a disaster that needs to get fixed. So this is Roger's question right here. And Roger, thank you for the Venmo. The Venmos and the Cash Apps are obviously preferred because I get those immediately. So thank you guys so much. This to me is the most important thing. Okay, fixing the scheme. We will survive one bad recruiting class. Okay, we'll survive it. And a bad recruiting class at LSU is 14th or 15th, like in 2018. Other than that, LSU is always going to be in the top 10. Okay? So, Roger, I know your question it has more to do with recruiting because of the timing. Would you rather have your first head coach in mid-January or your second in mid-December? That's a great question. There's two reasons why this next recruiting class is not going to be as important as you probably think it is. The first is your three most important players in this next recruiting cycle are locked in. Okay, Walker Howard, Will Campbell, and Emery Jones. Walker Howard because he plays the most important position, and Emery Jones and Will Campbell because we desperately need offensive linemen. As long as those three are locked in, we'll have some guys leave. We'll lose some players to different schools. That's just going to happen. However, there's no way LSU's going to whiff on all these other top 10 Louisiana prospects. They'll hit on Chaz Preston. They'll hit on Kendrick Law. They might miss on Wiggins or Etienne or whoever. So that's part of it. Also, something else, Roger, that I think is very key to keep in mind as far as recruiting is concerned is LSU is going to get to sign more Louisiana three-star high school prospects right now, okay? And the reason why they're going to be able to get to do that is because of the new rule that stretches out recruiting classes as we welcome in Preston, we'll welcome in Jason, we'll welcome in Mayan. And the reason why that's going to be so much better is the new rule is going to allow you to sign 7 transfer portal players. So A lot of players are going to transfer from LSU. It's a coaching change. It's bound to happen. However, that's good because LSU is going to get to bring in more high school prospects, and that means Louisiana 3-stars, who we've done deep dives on, they hit at a pretty high rate. Okay, you can get a few superstars that are Louisiana 3-stars. There's been Thorpe Award winners, first-round draft picks that have been Louisiana 3-star prospects. Okay, so I think as far as this recruiting class is concerned, LSU should not let this recruiting class determine the next head coach. And I think this happens way too often in coaching searches. Athletic departments freak out over the next recruiting class while they're trying to find their next head coach. Okay, so it's very important to keep that in mind. Okay, so as far as your first choice in mid-January or your second choice in mid-December, I would prefer my first choice in mid-January. And if, well, let's be honest. The bottom line is LSU is going to have a great recruiting class, which leads us to our second point. We do have the LSU advantage, okay? Now, this could be hubris as far as us being LSU fans, but I think recruiting experts like a Bud Elliott or whoever would tell you that I don't know, Nikki Chavino. I'm trying to think of all the recruiting experts out there, but I think they would tell you, the Sam Spiegelman that covered this region, that LSU will always be able to recruit itself. Unless something drastic really happens, the LSU brand is so big, and it's not just with the Louisiana kids, it's with national kids as well, right? You know, Charlotte Wilder of Fox Sports was just here with Mark Titus, and they gushed about the place. Pardon my take. ESPN with Scott Van Pelt. There was something to be said about the national brand of LSU, and that will always be there. Unless we just start stinking like Michigan and we become mediocre, that could happen. LSU could turn into Michigan. It's very possible. I just don't see that happening just based on the caliber of players Louisiana is able to produce. Okay. Let's see. Would that change if it was 2022? It would a little bit, Roger. And to follow up on your question, this is also very key. It looks as if the 2021 class is really special. Okay. It really looks like it. Okay. Jared with the super chat and Robert with the super chat. Thank you guys so much. Let me just put it this way. Jared, Roger, and Robert just hooked me up big time. Thank you guys so much. We deeply appreciate that. Let's see. Let me. What's up, JJ? Good to hear you. Joshua, what's good? Jared's lurking. Jared is getting oysters tonight. Let's put King Robert up there for a little bit. Big Al and Robert are like BFFs. I love it. The power of LSU football. So Robert with the very good super chat as he continues his battle with the evil C. And I will say this, Jared, Roger, and Robert, I simply would not be able to do what I do full time if it wasn't for those three guys, along with Cliff and a lot of you that donate pretty much every live stream. It really does help out. It just does. And I am working on new projects. I will be on Off the Bench tomorrow morning. I know a lot of you listen to that show. It's the best show. I mean, you can't beat a show with Jacob freaking Hester on there. I think I'll be on there tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Central. T-Bob asked me to be on, and T-Bob and I go way back, so it should be fun. I haven't done a media segment with T-Bob in probably 2 years, and we used to do them all the time. So I'm really excited about that. When T-Bob was at WWL, I would go on there every week. It's going to be a tsunami of decommits if they fire coach during the season. So it's, once again, it goes back to this. Walker Howard's not going anywhere. Okay. Will Campbell doesn't sound like he's going anywhere. Emery Jones, I doubt he goes anywhere else, knowing he is going to get to play next season. Emery Jones is probably going to get to play next season. Okay. So I just don't see that happening. Okay. And if it does, be lucky you just signed a 2021 class. That is really good. Okay. And if the decommitments happen, transfer portal is going to be lit. So I'm telling you, the more important thing is to make sure you get the coach right. Don't worry about the recruiting. Don't let that factor in, because look, we are witnessing right now potentially the worst recruiting class ever, and we'll get to that in a second. Let's go to Joshua. Freaking love Josh. Josh has always been with us. Josh also was a big Boog the dog fan, so shout out to you, Joshua. What's y'all's opinion on who should be the head coach for LSU? This is my top 5. John Harbaugh. Okay. Jim Harbaugh. All right. So let's start with John Harbaugh. I like your thinking, but John Harbaugh is arguably the best coach in the NFL right now. He's top 5, top 10. So John Harbaugh is not going anywhere. He's got freaking Lamar Jackson. If you have Lamar Jackson, it goes back to the Eric Bieniemy thing. It goes back to the Kellen Moore thing. John Harbaugh is not going anywhere. Okay. Jim Harbaugh is a very lateral move from Michigan. That's where he coached. LSU has a better job, but he played at Michigan. He would never make that move, and that wouldn't be a good move for LSU, in my opinion. Okay, Mike Leach is out of the equation for me. Mike Leach is fine. There's some things you like. There's some things you don't. Nick Saban, I'll tell you this. Scott Woodward is from Baton Rouge, okay? And if you are close to Jimbo Fisher, like Scott Woodward was when he hired Jimbo at Texas A&M, I have a tough time believing that Scott Woodward hasn't at least touched base with Nick Saban. I know that sounds crazy, but the likelihood of that not happening is very little, okay? And, speak to any LSU insider, okay, that's really well connected with the program, whether that be Ross Dellinger or Juan or whoever. And they all have the same agents. They all walk in the same circles, the elites, the elite athletic directors, the elite coaches. Nick Saban's name is forever going to be attached to LSU. He's not going to leave Alabama, though. So John Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh, Nick Saban, Mike Leach, I'm pretty confident that they're not going to be the next head coach at LSU. Okay, let's go to Dave Arenda and Joe Brady. All right? So Joe Brady, and Tony, we'll get to your super chat. Thank you, as always, Tony, for being super patient. By the way, Tony was the one that gave me the shirt. I know I already mentioned that. I just get excited, though, when I think of viewers that do really cool things like this for me. Let's start with Joe Brady here, Josh. Joe Brady's not going to leave the NFL. I'm telling you, if you're an elite NFL offensive coordinator, you are not going to go back down to the college level. It's just not going to happen. All right. Now, Bill O'Brien did, because he had the opportunity of the lifetime to coach in the Nick Saban rehabilitation program, right? And nobody really wanted to touch Bill O'Brien after how things ended with the Texans. Joe Brady's not going back to the college level, people. He is 4th on Vegas big boards to be the next head coach of the Raiders. So Vegas insiders know more about this stuff than any of us. The fact that he's that high up on the board lets you know that he is that teams are interested. The same thing is true for Eric Bieniemy. The same thing is true with Kellen Moore. Those guys aren't leaving their elite quarterback situations which, Carolina doesn't have an elite quarterback, but Joe Brady's just not going to leave to come back to the college level. Even though recruiting, I just downplayed the recruiting aspect of it. I heard that that's not something Joe Brady's all that on fire about anyway. I'm not on fire with the Joe Brady idea. Now, Dave Arenda and Lane Kiffin are the two more interesting names here. You guys know I have a deep admiration for Dave Arenda. I would love for Dave Arenda to come here along with Jeff Grimes. Obviously, both of them owe LSU a lot, okay? Jeff Grimes is probably the most underrated offensive mind in college football. Baylor's offense with Jerry Bohannon, a quarterback out of Earl, Arkansas, who's never really played all that much. Well, Jerry Bohannon's top 50 in college football QBR right now, which is pretty good. I didn't think he was going to be any good this year. He's been fine. Baylor's offense has been extremely efficient, and Jeff Grimes is probably, outside of Sam Pittman and maybe a few others, the best offensive line developer in the country. So I like Dave Arenda and Jeff Grimes a lot. Eric Mateos, a talent staffer who used to work for LSU. Meatball, a bunch of those LSU guys I think would be very interested in coming back to Baton Rouge, especially compared to Waco. So I like the Dave Arenda idea. He is not in my top 5, though. He is in my top 10, but I'm just not on fire about Dave Arenda, okay? And as I shared in the last live stream, we have gotten a bunch of generous super chats. I will spend some time now talking about Lane Kiffin. He's my number 1 candidate, okay? Number 1. Now, there's some close second, thirds, and fourths. And look, I know a lot of you want Urban Meyer, okay? I did a whole video on the Urban Meyer situation. I won't spend too much time on it. Prime Urban Meyer, I would be all over it, but you're not getting prime Urban Meyer. There is some deep-seated stuff that is currently happening with Urban Meyer, and that needs to get straightened out because LSU is not a job where your personal laundry should be aired out in the public. The message boards are ruthless. This can be a ruthless job if you're not sharp, if you're not at 100%. And Urban Meyer is just not there, okay? He's the most talented coach in college football history outside of Nick Saban in the modern era. He's second best coach. Lane Kiffin's my number 1 candidate, okay? And then that's all there is to it, okay? Offensive-minded coach, aggressive, hasn't really won anything big. He's been through the ringer, and he is ready for his big opportunity to win big. And he knows deep down in his heart he doesn't have enough at Ole Miss to get it done against Saban. And, I'm really on board with the Lane train. And look, he's good. He's really good. That's all there is to it. Now, is he arrogant? Absolutely. Absolutely. And can he be abrasive? Absolutely. He's learning, though, okay? At least the popcorn comment happened at Ole Miss instead of LSU. Now, there's probably some Ole Miss people watching this live stream right now. It's not a disrespect to Ole Miss at all. You just can't win a national championship there. It's simple. The recruiting numbers work itself out. There's no other way around it. Lane Kiffin is my number 1 guy. I hope it happens. Will it happen? I would give LSU a good shot. I would. Now, Lane Kiffin's buyout at Ole Miss is $5 million from what I read. Also, J-Boy, who's, the number 1 SEC guy out there right now, floated a tweet out there that was pretty interesting. I like Lane a lot. I do. Look, you guys know how I am personally, right? I'm not as edgy as Lane Kiffin. I'm definitely not as, I don't know if cocky is the right word, but when you do get the popcorn ready, that's not really my style. But there's one thing I like about Lane Kiffin is he is aggressive. Okay. He puts the foot on the gas. And that is how you have to be in this era of college football. This is a cutthroat business. Lane Kiffin, I just love his attitude. I do. Okay. Yeah, that's all there is to it. I would prefer to get an offensive-minded head coach this time around. We already know recruits who want to come to LSU and will. Yeah, could you imagine freaking Walker Howard and Lane Kiffin's offense? Walker Howard and Matt Corral are very similar quarterbacks. Legit, they are very similar. And Walker Howard probably has more upside than Matt Corral. It would be a really good fit. It really would. Okay. Lane Train. Robert. Maturity issues with Kiffin. That's true. And trust me, you wouldn't have to worry about maturity issues with Dave Arenda and Jeff Grimes, right? Lane's immature. Okay. There's no other way around it. And look, some people in Louisiana don't like cocky people. They just don't. Some of you live in areas of Louisiana where outside arrogance doesn't really roll. Okay. So Lane is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Okay. But the bottom line is he is hungry to get one of these top 10 jobs so he can actually beat Saban. Okay. But what about the NFL? Lane's never going back to the NFL. He's already tried it. What about USC? He's never going back to USC. He needs to get to a place where he can beat Saban. Okay? LSU's got the dudes to beat Saban. Ole Miss doesn't. Thoughts on James Franklin? I know he has ties to Pennsylvania, but do you think LSU has a chance at getting him? There's no doubt about it that James Franklin's going to be on the list. I know a lot of you guys are floating names out there, but the best way, I'm dead serious, I'm getting a ton of messages right now. The super chats, I for sure see them. So Venmo, Cash App, at Heart of the Power, and these go a long way. There you go, Robert. Super chatted for somebody there. So Robert, you get to pick the next topic. I know you're laid back. You just want to chat. But let's talk a little bit about James Franklin. So obviously I like James Franklin a lot. Personally, it'd be cool to see a person of color get the head coaching opportunity. That would just be really cool, right? You just look at our channel, right? We have people from all different backgrounds, and that would be cool. Now, you guys don't, I care about that, but most of you just want someone that's really qualified to be the head coach. We all agree with that. And James Franklin is certainly qualified. This is a guy who, and this is what, last thing here on Lane Kiffin really quickly. I would, once again, Lane Kiffin with LSU's resources would be absolutely insane, right? Now, another thing about Lane Kiffin is, unlike James Franklin, there is not some Title IX history, okay? So if, once again, here's the thing about James Franklin is, this is, let's see, Franklin can't win the big games. That's one thing. Also, and this is obviously really key for me, right? LSU is going to want to get someone that doesn't have dirty laundry, right? So Eric Bieniemy has some Title IX history. James Franklin does from his time at Vanderbilt. Now, as you guys know, I mean, I don't talk about those things all that often, but I do mention them because it is important, right? James Franklin, it was serious in nature. I'm not downplaying it, but it wasn't as bad as, let's say, like an Art Briles situation. So that's something that you would have to put into the equation, especially considering what LSU is going through right now. Also, and this is obviously, very important as well, is what is James Franklin an innovator as an X's and O play caller, right? And I'm not sure if he actually is, okay? So, I don't know. And this is a good question right here from Pegasus, right? What big games has Lane won? Okay. He hasn't won any big ones either. But then again, Lane is not at a job where you can win those big games, where James Franklin's been at Penn State, which is regularly a top 15 recruiter. But you're right. It is a good point, though, Pegasus, that Lane has not won a big game. Now, he did play Alabama really close and won a bowl game last year, but you're right. As far as what they've accomplished in college, I can argue James Franklin, what he did at Vanderbilt, is way more impressive than anything Lane Kiffin has done. In fact, I would say that, okay? So, James Franklin would be a great hire at LSU. I think he's really talented. He's in my top 5, but I still have Lane number 1. Let's see. What's up, Carter? This is another one of our cancer warriors here, Reggie. Reggie and Robert, I think you guys have met already. Let's see here. Billy Napier, but I'm hearing that he doesn't like the spotlight, but he isn't a head coach anyway. Plus, I like him because he's humble, and that's what we need right now. Sure, JJ. Sure. If you can't do it on here, just shoot me a Venmo or Cash App if you have it. And if not, JJ, don't worry about it. You can get it next time. I know where you live. Actually, I don't know exactly where you live. That would be kind of weird. Well, actually, I do. I sent you some booger bands, which, by the way, we do have some booger bands on sale. 1 for 10, 2 for 15, 3 for 20. JJ's got booger bands. Roger's got booger bands. Robert's got booger bands. Cliff's got booger bands. King Ulysses has booger bands. But let me see this. Okay, so Reggie, one of our fellow cancer warriors, along with Robert, you guys, PHL is behind you guys. I like Billy Napier a lot. I just think Scott Woodward is going to get someone that has Power 5 experience. Obviously, the one thing about Billy Napier is I think his salary right now is at $1 million. You can get him at $3 or $4 million a year, especially if LSU is going to have to pay the buyout. Now, I know some of you have sent me some stuff as far as like buyout clauses and all of that stuff. So let me go through some of this, really quickly. Okay. Orgeron has a clause in his contract where if LSU fires him for cause, he has to be notified in writing. He then has 5 days to respond. LSU then has to come up with a financial decision within 5 days, and after that, he's granted a meeting with the president. From what I understand, that is in the works now, and it can be at least 10 days before LSU can actually fire him. So that is from Cliff, the president of PHL. It's very interesting. Okay. So once again, I'll say this all the time. I have a lot of friends that actually are lawyers that do this kind of stuff. Michael, Ahmed. I mean, I have a lot of buddies that went to LSU law, and they're still practicing law, and they actually look at contracts and stuff like that. I'm not smart enough to read contracts, so I don't know too much about like clauses and what is it, but Cliff does make a good point. The most important thing is they're going to try and hire somebody. They're going to try and fire Ed Orgeron without paying his buyout. That's all there is to it. Trey from the West Coast. Call Me Larry was a Boog the Band. That's actually a really good place to put it, right? So my microphone cramped out, and honestly, it wasn't my microphone. It was actually my computer. That wouldn't let me connect my microphone anymore to the computer. So for those that don't know, I used to have my booger bands. I have one on my hand right now, but I used to have one on my microphone. Let's see. RSX is with the Superman fit. I like it. Is this your first time in the live chat? Let me know, RSX, if this is your first time. Because I'm not going to lie to you. I was wrong about Derek Mason. He's been really good at Auburn. He's been really, really good. And this is a Derek Mason who's lost some really good defensive linemen over the last couple of years. And look, Auburn's got some really talented guys. So let me know. That is crazy, Robert. Send me a photo of your bands on your drinking cup. Dev, what's good, man? I would kill for James Franklin. Franklin's really good. And look, I think he's dying for one of the elite jobs, and LSU is definitely one of those jobs. I do think he ends up at USC, though. I do. I think there's just too much smoke for James Franklin. Fits USC really well, too. I like it. Now, this is the positivity that I need right here. The next coach will win a championship in the next 3 to 4 years. I love it. So, Trey, yeah, my number one guy is Lane Kiffin. That's all there is to it. Now, there's other guys that are close. It's not like we're in trouble if you don't hire Lane. I mean, honestly, knowing what we know now, it's a miracle. And this is something else that I want to say, right? Bill O'Brien. What's up, Carvis? B.O.B. Let me see how Bill O'Brien reacts to after Saban, kind of, sort of, calling him out in a press conference this week. Okay, so let's go to this right here. Actually, I'll get to this in just a second, Trey, on Nuts. Let me finish this head coaching thing really quickly, okay? Cliff says, y'all, if y'all want to go drink with Cliff this weekend at Tiger Stadium, hit him up. But yeah, here's what I'll say about this, right? As you guys drink out of your Bug the Dog cups, I should just make some Bug the Dog cups. Let me run this by you really quickly. We all just want the best head coach, right? Now, a lot of us have different views on who that coach is going to be. Well, knowing what we know now about Ed Orgeron and knowing what we know now about Les Miles, just them as strategists and coaches, don't get it twisted. We do have other fan bases that watch this channel, and you guys see it. We have, ironically, a bunch of Auburn fans that watch this channel. Mark and Vernon and Two Ankle Rand. That was kind of crazy a few weeks ago, the two ankle thing. He had two ankles. It was weird. He put a photo up and everything. We are spoiled. As LSU football fans, we're spoiled. Georgia has their best team of all time right now. And it feels a lot better not being a Georgia fan, knowing that they haven't won a title since 1980. And each and every one of you watching this right now, in your lifetime, have gotten to experience 3 national championships in this modern era with 3 different head coaches. Okay. And the funny thing about national championships is if you go back to 2007 and you just list the coaches who have actually won national championships, there are more, or let me put it this way, there are as many mediocre coaches that have won national championships as there are great coaches that have won national championships. Okay. So Gene Chizik, Les Miles, and now, as we see here, Ed Orgeron isn't necessarily Bo Schembechler or whoever you want to mention. So we're spoiled. We're very lucky to be in the position that we're in. And we're very fortunate to have won 3 national championships at this point. in this modern era, this golden age of LSU football. So, my first ever video on this channel was, it was crappy. It looked horrible. But the first ever video I said was, whatever happens from 2019 on is what it is. I'm never going to experience anything better than that. Now, with that said, that doesn't mean you don't strive for better. And I don't want other fan bases, and this is the number one message I've been getting from other fan bases is, oh, you got to go, Robert. Have to go, guys. Fair winds and falling seas for you, Napier. Robert, we'll see you, man. I'm a UTEP fan. We got some Luke Fickell fans in here. But my major point was we were very lucky to get to experience what we got to experience. Woodward wants to make a clean hire, and Kiffin, Freeze, and Urban and others like them are off the table. Who do we hire? Well, let's put it this way. The first thing is Lane Kiffin. You guys know how I am about this. I'm not a moralist. I think slippery slopes happen when you judge morals and you judge too much based on character. Lane Kiffin is a brash individual, but Hugh Freeze and Urban Meyer's history, as far as cleanliness is concerned, is far more treacherous, I guess you could say. But I get what you're saying. Like a clean hire is in someone that doesn't have baggage per se, or you don't have to worry too much about anything with them. Then probably you're looking at Luke Fickell, James Franklin in that region. Okay? There you go, Tony. Appreciate you as always. Let's see here. Yeah, Michael, I did get that. And you got a Bryce Harper stuff. I like Bryce Harper. Dabo Swaney. Dan Lanning's very interesting. Let me go to the next super chat here, JJ. I like Dan Lanning a lot. You do begin to question how much of it is Kirby's defense, how much of it is his defense. All I know is Dan Lanning's got one of the best defenses I've ever seen. This Georgia defense is as good as any defense we've ever had, if not better. They're really good. I mean, they are really, really good. They're probably better than any Alabama defense Saban has had. They're special, okay? Now, they have to go to the playoff at the very least to be considered, up there with 03 LSU and Miami's defenses and Saban's defenses. I mean, they have to continue what they're doing. Georgia's defense is so freaking good, though. And you also got to factor in that Georgia's defense is doing this in an era with all these great offenses. We'll see how they do when they go up against better quarterbacks. But they look good. They look really good. So Dan Lanning is obviously doing a really good job. I want to get your thoughts on a name I haven't heard thrown around lately. Doug Peterson, Louisiana guy, coach at Calvary Baptist, where I played, and he played QB at Northeast. Thoughts on him? Okay. Okay. Well, let's go through a few things with Doug Peterson. First thing is Doug Peterson is very aggressive on fourth down. You guys know that's a big thing for me. He is a go-for-it type of coach. Obviously, Doug Peterson, this would be a very interesting move. Louisiana obviously means a lot to him. Knowing his North Louisiana ties, especially with you, JJ, I understand. And we know Doug Peterson can coach in big games. We know Doug Peterson can scheme guys open. And look, LSU will find ways to recruit and with Doug Peterson. They'll always find ways. Okay. The thing with Doug Peterson, though, is how much would he want to be a college head coach? I don't know the answer to that. It's funny because I follow Doug Peterson's analytics guy. He had an analytics game decision maker, and I follow him on Twitter now, and he's a very interesting guy. I don't remember his name. And I like Doug a lot, knowing that, he out-schemed Belichick with Nick freaking Foles as his quarterback. And ironically, that was Tom Brady's best Super Bowl performance ever in a loss. It was just his best playoff performance ever, period. He threw for over 500 yards. It is interesting that Peterson was able to win a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. How much would he want to hit the ground running in college? Here's something that I think, JJ, that's very important is if you do become a college coach, you do need to have hunger. And what I mean by that is college coaching has as much to do with your own personal drive as anything else, right? And it's not just the drive to win a national championship, okay? It's not that, right? It's the drive to constantly improve what you're doing, okay? The only reason Nick Saban has been able to do what he's been able to do, yes, he's always recruited 4 and 5 stars, but his schemes have always stayed up to date, right? He's always been ahead of the curve. That's why, he's been able to survive all these coordinators and still put his talent in good positions to win. It's because he's always ahead of everyone else. He's always done that. And I give him a lot of credit for that. A lot of, what the head coach position is you personally pushing yourself harder than you did previously. And I think what we've seen from the last 2 head coaches LSU has hired has been a clear case of them winning something at an extremely high level and them not pushing themselves to that next level. And as many of you know, Les Miles on and off the field didn't change. And Orgeron has gone down in flames because hubris and arrogance. And both of those guys, if they did a little bit more self-reflecting, could still be the head coach at LSU. And Ed Orgeron is right now. But you have to put your ego aside. And that would be my big thing with Doug Peterson, right? Is part of why he left Philly so quickly is because of, there was some disagreement with him and Howie Roseman and all the Eagles upper management. And you just simply can't have that. So when you become, the head coach of LSU, you have to come in hungry, ready to go and be easy to work with. And I don't know if Doug Peterson has shaken that label off. So we'll see. I'll tell you this. If you're a head coach in Philly, you're ready to be a head coach at LSU as far as the pressure and the environment as well. Let's go to Cody here. James Franklin, let's go. So we just spent a lot of time, Cody, talking about James Franklin, but you did super chat. So I'll go back over it really quickly. James Franklin, there is some history. There is some Title IX issues in his past. I don't think that's ever going to prevent him from coaching again unless something else very nefarious happens with his name or whatever. He's done a pretty solid job at Penn State. Obviously, his coaching job at Vanderbilt is probably a top 10 coaching job in the history of the SEC. It's definitely one of the top 3 or 4 coaching jobs ever. I do think James Franklin, more than likely, if he had to choose, is going to take the USC job. I have no inside information regarding it, but he did answer a question about the USC opening very interestingly. But yeah, I really do. I do like James Franklin a lot, and it wouldn't be a disaster hire. So we'll see. Someone said Will Muschamp. Sure, bring him back. Hey, Robbie, welcome. I'm getting a lot of questions about the 2011 defense. So, JJ, a follow up here. Good stuff. See, he's definitely a player's coach, and I believe if he had the hunger, he could recruit with the best of them. Yeah, and once again, LSU kind of recruits itself. Luke, you are my son. Search your feelings and leave Cincy in together. We can rule the college football. I love it, man. I'll let T-Bob know tomorrow morning. You throwing Star Wars references around here? Jose, or did I say this? I think you're new, Jose. The brand of LSU automatically brings recruits. I wouldn't quite say automatically, but you're right. It does help out, right? Let's see. We're getting a bunch of Kalen DeBoer. I don't even know who that is. Let me Google this really quickly. Once again, I'm getting a lot of names. The best way to get your name to the front is super chatting. Let's see. Fresno State, Kalen DeBoer. Very interesting. So I've seen them play quite a bit this year with their quarterback. Crap, what's their quarterback's name? I freaking love their quarterback. So he finally gets his head coaching opportunity here at Fresno State. 46 years of age. Obviously, they're going to get somebody more proven than that. I do like watching their offense. He does understand concepts really well. So, yeah. Let's see. Daniel, love you, brother. Thanks for all your hard work. It is greatly appreciated. Daniel, thank you. And I'm sorry, I got your Star Wars reference. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan in the world. Hate me all you want. Ken says, I have to go. Thanks for all your hard work. Okay, so let me see. Let me get to this from go through a few of these here. Let me start here with don't understand the Lane Love 3 Power 5 jobs. He has won nothing. Yeah, but it goes back to Big Al made a good point. What did Ed Orgeron win before this job? What did Nick Saban win before the LSU job? What did Les Miles win? Okay. Proven means get a proven head coach. You hear that all the time. Proven means different things to different people, right? So let's take Ramon here. Ramon, I think this is your first time in a chat. Welcome. Thoughts on Mel Tucker? Mel's done a really good job. Number one, Mel has really done a good job rebuilding Michigan State through the transfer portal. They got the best running back in college football right now. And I give Mel a lot of credit what he's done. I'll tell you this, though. He had a horrible punt. You guys know how I am about this. He had a horrible punt in plus territory. which is a big issue right now with LSU football. But other than that, Mel's pretty good. I thought the Nebraska win was very, very, very fortunate. They could get nothing going in the second half. But Mel's really talented. I would like to see more at Michigan State outside of just this year. Whereas with guys like James Franklin, guys like Lane Kiffin, we've now seen multiple years of them having very successful teams. So Michigan State wasn't great at all last year. I'm interested to see how, they move along with this season. But, Mel wouldn't be the worst. Let's see here. Daniel, get your question in. Don't worry. We can all be sci-fi nerds. Yes, Trey, I'll be on with them, I believe, at 9:30 in the morning. That's what T-Bob said to me. That's a little bit early for me. All right, Haley's getting me up. But I'm excited. Should be fun, man. It's so cool, man. I'm not going to lie. It was so weird. I was on there a few weeks ago, and freaking Jeremy Hill was asking me a question about LSU football. Jeremy Hill! Are you kidding me? One of the GOATs, right? He kind of gets overshadowed because Fournette was like right after him. But Jeremy Hill, man, you want to talk about somebody seizing his opportunity? It's Jeremy freaking Hill. Freaking love that guy. So tomorrow I'll be on with Jacob Hester, who I think I did a radio spot with him a long time ago. I think he came on one of my shows, maybe like 5 or so years ago. That's going to be pretty cool. Whatever happened to PJ Fleck and Matt Campbell? Roger. Oh, Roger. That's a juicy question. I'll get to it in a second. Okay. Whatever happened to PJ Fleck and Matt Campbell being some top coaching names? I haven't heard anything about them as of late. Okay. I like both of these guys a lot. Look, PJ Fleck is obviously a guy that specializes in particular with the wide receiver position. Okay. What is LSU known for? Well, wide receivers. It's probably maybe even more so than defensive back. Wide receiver's been our best position, period, over the last couple of decades. I mean, it's up there. Whether, go back to Michael Clayton, Josh Reed, to obviously the guys that we have now, especially with BTJ and Jack Besh. Are you freaking kidding me? Someone like PJ Fleck. I mean, could you imagine him with our wide receivers? That would be pretty insane. And last year, he had Rashad Bateman and a lot of guys. So that's PJ Fleck. That's what he's known for. He's an offensive innovator at the wide receiver position. Matt Campbell's very interesting. Matt Campbell can outcoach a lot of people. Last year, ironically, he lost to UL. I thought that game was a little fluky. UL had a special teams return for a touchdown and a bunch of deep passes that they hit. So Matt Campbell has won some big games at Toledo. He's also lost some games that he shouldn't have lost at Iowa State. I think Matt Campbell likes where he is. I mean, this is a guy that's not has turned down some NFL opportunities. And by the way, Micah, your avatar is so cool. That purple LSU helmet, I hope they bring that back. That was the purple LSU helmet with the all white throwback uniforms, right? But anyway, I like both of those names a lot. I think both of them would be fine. When I listed a top 5, Lane Kiffin was in my top 5. James Franklin was also in there, and I don't remember. Those two guys I think right now are my top 2 candidates. I know a few of you have mentioned Mario Cristobal. I'll get to him a little bit later if we get a super chat, but I like both of these guys. I think LSU would be fine with both of them. Plus, off the field, these guys really like the coaching profession, and they have multiple years of success. And I think both of them would like the opportunity to coach elite talent. Smash that thumbs up button. Let's go. So this is the question that I get here from Roger. Who is Derek Panamsky, and why does everyone hate him? Okay, so I don't. You guys don't speak about like the gossip and that kind of stuff. I know Derek Panamsky. I don't know him well. I known him from media appearances, SEC media days. I've not talked to him since he's become Ed Orgeron's right-hand man. And that's who he is. He works. He's Ed Orgeron's right-hand man. I've only had good experience with D-Palm, and I wish him nothing but the best, if he remains with LSU football. Roger, I don't know why so many people hate him. I know that there was some back and forth. I won't comment on it because I just don't know a whole lot about it. But it's whatever. So I know you super chatted a question about it, and it is very interesting, right? That there is beef. Once again, you guys know how I am. I don't get in media beefs or anything like that. It's just not who I am, right? If I ever get in a media beef with somebody, it's going to be for an actual reason, and there might actually be a reason there. So once again, I don't know anything about it. I just don't. I wish I could answer your question better, Roger. But once again, basically, I gave you a no comment on that. And it's not like a shady no comment, like I know something and I'm not sharing. I honestly have no idea why some people just hate D-Palm. I just don't. The metallic purple helmet with all white unis is awesome. I do agree with that. Yeah, Mick. Well, I just don't know. Once again, I don't get into. I don't. Once again, I don't get into it. Let's see. We touched on Eric Bieniemy a little bit earlier, but Seth, welcome to the channel. I'll do it, Branson. Well, yeah, I think they air their full shows on YouTube. I think they do. So I think you could find it on their YouTube channel anyway. Let's see. UGA is a sad university. Why are we trying to get into it with Georgia? UGA is awesome. I'm dead serious. Athens is just an awesome city. Look, I know it's I know it's just wait, what's going on here? Okay, that's what happened. I know it's I know I could be boring about like the kind of like beefy stuff. There's some SEC cities that aren't great. Okay, there's some SEC cities just aren't great. Okay, Gainesville is not great. I've only been once. Gainesville did nothing for me. It just didn't. It just did not do anything for me. I had a miserable experience there. Top 3 SEC stadium, though. Athens is awesome. I had the greatest college night of my life in Athens. It is elite. It's not good. It's not great. It's elite. Okay. I like Georgia. I just do. And I like their colors. I like their stadium. I want to go to a game there. I understand we're supposed to hate them, but why? We've dominated Georgia, right? Who gives a rip? They have a great team. I'd rather them win than Alabama. I'd rather them win than Florida. I'd rather them win than Texas A&M. I'd rather them win than Auburn. And here's the thing. If you have so much hate in your heart that you just hate every SEC school the same, then I would hate to be you. I just think that's just too much hatred. I think you're allowed to really diabolically hate no more than 3 SEC teams. I think there's only 3 SEC teams that you can hate. Okay? I understand. How about this? Did you hear about Ed Orgeron flipping over tables and throwing chairs against a wall before the Saturday because of the team hype video? I did hear about that, Roger. And yesterday, my video, I apologize during. So normally, as you guys know, my videos release at 6 p.m. or 6:15. Okay, it's always going to be one of those times, and we release one every weekday. Okay, so yesterday I didn't release my video until 9 Central. I was on the phone with a lot of people. All right, so I talked to T Bob yesterday for about an hour, or no, it was like 30 minutes to an hour. But after T Bob, I was speaking to other media members. I spoke to a source, and that source told me about this Ed Orgeron situation, that there was a blow up over a team hype video. Now, I wasn't the first to get this information, but I received ironically, a bunch of calls yesterday about Ed Orgeron. Okay. So look, I always say this. I speak to other people that do LSU media. I'm close with Blake at Are You Serious Sports. I talk to him every day. I talk to Lon every day. I talk to a lot of different people every day. Okay. And they more focus on like the inner workings of LSU, right? And my channel was more analysis based. But when you get to this point, some of the stuff that you and the reason why I did a little bit more behind the scenes kind of stuff yesterday in yesterday's video was because the Kentucky film was so bad that I have to know if something personally is going really awry behind the scenes at LSU. Now, let's be honest about behind the scenes stuff. Some of the stuff is not true. Okay. Obviously, there's been a lot of stories behind the scenes about LSU football that is simply not true. Okay. We're talking about the 2011 team earlier. There's the story that players were involved in a fight before the game. May or may not be true. Ultimately, had no effect on the game. We just got our butts kicked. But what was really fascinating about the Kentucky film, guys, was we were so bad in this game. We've been bad in other games, but we let a run-based attack run clean through our B gaps. Clean. No resistance. There was multiple times where the offensive guard just ran forward. No one to block. Not a linebacker, not a safety. 2 times, the offensive lineman just ran 10 yards up the field, didn't have anybody to block. And I've never seen anything like that. So the reason why yesterday the video took a little bit longer, because I have to know if people are just not trying. And they are trying. They are putting together game plans. It's just really bad. It does make me wonder, though. It does make you wonder. Ed didn't like the video. It wasn't my video, full disclosure. I guarantee you Ed probably doesn't like some of the videos that I produce. I don't think he's ever even watched any of my videos. It would be cool if he did. Because you guys know I like Ed Orgeron, right? He's taken us with this team in 2019. He took us to a height we've never reached before. How much was it him? I don't know, but he was a head coach. So it had a lot to do with him, I think. But you guys know on this channel, I was critical about Ed Orgeron last year. And I did a week where I was very critical about Ed Orgeron's coaching style. And I did worry about this team a lot. But what's very fascinating is we still shouldn't be here. We still shouldn't be as bad as we are, right? Let's see. We got a few new viewers in here. Let me see if we can. Brandon, what's good, man? This is and Brandon's not a new viewer. You guys know Brandon's been with us for a while. A&M's a cult. I'm happy they got that win. Kidding. I'm not happy. However, I've actually hosted a few Aggie weddings, and they were great. I'm not gonna lie. They were some of the funnest ones I've ever done. Mike Carter, is your job in the media? If so, you're doing a very good job. Thank you so much, Mike. This is an interesting photo, man. I love that you took your photo in this. Looks like an office workspace, right? And in this office workspace, or no, it looks like not the workspace, but like the lunch break place. Mike is in here heating up or getting a cup of coffee. There you go. Or that could be I don't know, Mike, but welcome to the channel. I just like looking at y'all's avatars. It's a good insight on your life. Paris! Oh, you're officiating a wedding? So full disclosure, I do not officiate. I don't officiate weddings. I just DJ and host them, right? So like I do the receptions and all that stuff. And I have a business partner where, play music, host, do a few jokes here and there. But more often than not, just play music. So my tip to you, Simplify, is just get out of the way. Okay. Always understand if you're ever working a wedding, just make sure that you stay out of the way. Whether you're playing the music, whether you're asked to be in a wedding, always understand. And this is the number one thing that pisses me off about weddings. Okay. Number one thing, don't ever propose to somebody at a wedding that is not yours. Okay. Don't do it. Don't do it. It is the most ignorant thing. I have been repulsed when I see that. Okay. I almost left the wedding. Okay. Zachary, you better not blink. Wait, do I blink a lot? Is that it? Is that the problem? But yeah, you don't propose at somebody else's wedding. You don't do that. So my best friend from preschool had that happen at her wedding, and I was furious. But officiating a wedding, once again, just rub it up, dub. Thanks for the grub, right? It's basically what you do. Don't be nervous. I know it could be nerve-wracking if it's your first one. When I DJ'd my first wedding, I was kind of nervous. But yeah. Oh, Coach O doesn't blink. Big Al. I can barely watch any LSU content. It sucks so bad. Paris, how dare you say that about my channel? She just said my LSU content sucks. Paris, I'm going to tell Haley, and she's going to be like, well, Paris can't be the queen of Velvet Taco, the Atlanta chapter anymore. Paris, one of the many loyal day one PHLers. Started from the bottom, and now we're here. And by here, we're still not really that high, but we're working. We're building together a community. Bro, I'm a Marine. We don't get nervous. Probably right. I know, it's just sad. That's how I feel too. Once again, I really wish this never happened. I wish Ed Orgeron was the coach for forever. And look, this is what I tell everyone, right? I don't think, hey, Tedrick, I don't think the issue is, I don't think the issue is that LSU's losing, right? I don't think any one of you mind losing. I'm dead serious. I think most of you that watch this channel aren't blind LSU fans that think we're guaranteed to win 10 games every year, right? I think most of you understand some of the stuff that I talk about on this channel. I've learned a lot from you guys. I've learned a lot from Paris and Carvis and Jared, and I haven't learned anything from Mick. I'm sorry. Kidding. I actually have learned a lot from Mick as well. I've learned a lot from Roger, whoever. But I think we can all agree that there's been a seismic shift in the SEC, right? So the bottom half of the SEC got better, okay? Kentucky obviously has gotten better. Ole Miss has gotten better. Tennessee is finally looking decent. Everybody got better. So we were bound to lose some games. Mississippi State got better. Arkansas is 10 times better. They're really good. And look, the bottom line is most of you know that the rest of the SEC got better, okay? And you know that we were bound to lose a few games, right? The issue, though, and this is what I want the major takeaway from this live stream to be, I have no say in who the next head coach is going to be. I have no bearing over Ed Orgeron's coaching style. I have no bearing on anything else. But the one thing I can tell you is losing is one thing, but how you lose to me is more important, okay? How you lose is a better indication of where your program is than if you lose, okay? And the same thing is true with how you win, okay? Here's a good example of this. This was a major red flag of 2020, but we did not have a single good win last year. Like, really sit and think about this. The only justifiable great win you can say is Florida, right? And that was a really good win. It was a very flawed win, but we got it done. The Vanderbilt win wasn't a good win. They were Vanderbilt. They were the worst team in the SEC, arguably ever. The South Carolina win was a dominant win, but they still averaged 7 yards per play, and we had an extra week's rest. We also beat Arkansas in the final few minutes of a game where we had 2 extra weeks rest, and Arkansas was without their starting defensive line. Okay? We beat Florida. We had a horrible second half game plan, and we were lucky someone threw a shoe. And then we beat Ole Miss. Same thing happened. We choked away in the second half. So last year, we did not have a single dominant 4-quarter win. That's a concern, right? And we lost some games that we shouldn't have lost. And this year, it's carried over. We've not had a single dominant 4-quarter win against a Power 5 team this year. Okay? We have one Power 5 win. But we've not played well. We're not playing good football right now. Okay? Wins aside, losses aside, and culture aside, okay? Take away media beefs, take away Ed Orgeron mad at the video staff. Take away the offensive line, take away recruiting, take away the culture, the off the field stuff, which is very important. Don't get it twisted. Just ask yourself a macro question right now. Are we a good football team? Are we a good football team right now? Are we playing good football? Do you see a consistent trajectory of greatness? Because the one thing you can always say about an Ed Orgeron coach team is he always has this team playing the best football at the end of the year, right? So in 2016, we shut Lamar Jackson down, one of the greatest college football players of all time. We shut him down. At the end of 2017, had an ugly bowl loss, but we still played well towards the end of the season, okay? Then at the end of 2018, we were playing really good football. We had one fluky 7 overtime loss, dominated in our bowl game. 2019, we got better. 2020, we got better at the end of the season, okay? One thing about Ed Orgeron coach teams is they do get better. Every year, the teams do get better as the season moves on. So I do give him that. But right now, we're not getting better. We're going in the opposite direction. And a lot of the issues we had last year are the same issues we have now, okay? And I think a lot of you are just fed up with it, right? So it's not just a wins and losses thing. It's not just a 8-8 since the national championship thing. It's how we're losing and it's how we're winning, okay? That to me is as important as whether or not you're winning. And this is the big thing. And I know there's a lot of military people that watch this. Obviously, DRC, Semper Fi Crawfish. A lot of you served in the military. A lot of you played college football. I know this is what bothers you guys the most, is that we are a very soft team right now. Okay? We are very soft. Say wit. You know what's funny, Zay? I was thinking about you. I was thinking about Carvis as well when I was making my video on Max earlier today. He is he's not playing well. Max is not playing well. He's regressing really bad, and I'm starting to get really concerned. Right? I will say this. I do think Max has the ceiling of being good enough to win us a national championship. I think his ceiling is good enough to do that. But there's a difference between having a ceiling that is good enough to win you a college football playoff than the ceiling of you being like an NFL first-round pick. And yes, it's very early, and there can be a radical transformation. We've seen it happen at this program. We've seen it happen everywhere. I just don't know if Max has that type of ceiling, right? So, you know, Zay, I know you're a big anti Max Johnson guy. He's regressing. I will find it interesting though. What's up, Blessed? We got Blessed in Turkey right here. If I'm missing your comment, once again, Super Chat, Venmo, Cash App is the best way. It lights up. I wish you guys could sit here and see all the comments just flowing in. I really do feel blessed. Honestly, no pun intended. To have all you guys watching around the world. For those that don't know, that man Blessed is all the way in Turkey. Who's hurt more by the other's performance, Max or the O-line? This is actually a really good question. Okay, I would say Max is more affected by the O-line than vice versa, but I will say Max has missed a lot of throws this year. It's to the point where when I say a lot, I need to list my work, okay? So let's go through each and every game where Max Johnson missed a big throw. So second quarter of the UCLA game, missed Trey Palmer wide open. There was a blitzer right in his face. He could have underhand tossed it to Trey, and he still underthrew him. Okay, that was a big miss. Also missed another throw in that UCLA game to Trey Palmer in the back of the end zone, which ultimately resulted in the throw behind his head. There were some other throws that he missed in that game. Okay, we move along to the McNeese State game. Where in the first quarter, he missed a Ray Jenkins on a second read and took a sack that he did not need to take. He also fumbled a snap on a quarterback sneak. Wasn't entirely his fault, but he did do that. So those are just two mistakes from that game. We move along, of course, to the Central Michigan game, where he played really, really well. He played near perfect in that game, so you give him that. Then we move to the Mississippi State game, where he started off pretty amazingly, but then in the fourth quarter, he missed a throw to Jack Bech to seal the game. He also, threw that 50-50 pick to Dion Smith that wasn't great. And then he also missed a throw to BTJ that would have extended a drive in that game. And then this is where it gets a little worse, right? The Auburn game in the second half was where Max really started missing throws. And we did start to see him crumble under pressure. There's no other way around it. You guys know I'm a big Max fan. That's just exactly what happened. I think the moment got to him a little bit. Strip sack fumble, should have stayed in the pocket. That was really bad. We got lucky we were able to recover it. Then on the final drive of the game where we really needed him, missed Kayshon Boutte on an out, missed Trey Palmer on an over-the-top throw. It was abysmal. It was really, really, really bad. Also missed Jack Bech on a throw that would have extended the drive. And then instead of even throwing to Jack Bech in the fourth quarter to extend that drive, he missed TDP in the flats that would have extended the drive as well. Then we get to the Kentucky game. Opening drive, fumble, unblocked blitzer. It looks as if that's on the offensive line. No, it was a protection flaw, and Max still could have gotten the ball off in time to BTJ. And there were some other throws in this Kentucky game that were not there. And this was a game in which he actually did have a running game to work with. The regression is real. The QBR has fallen off a cliff. The UCLA performance is a lot worse now that we know what their defense looks like at this point. And look, there's a lot of things about Max Johnson that we can discuss further. Yes, his pass protection isn't great. And a big reason why he fell off a cliff against Auburn was at some point mentally, you begin to crumble when your center is being driven back into your lap every other play. That affects you. I didn't play quarterback, but I did play defensive line, and I oftentimes was put on that head-up nose in a zero tech. Now, I didn't push people back, but I would just get past them, right? If you dominate the center straight head up, it changes games. It changes games. And a big reason why we lost that Auburn game was because we just could not. Liam had no answer for it. It was like a boxer getting consistent jabs. Eventually, it's going to wear you down and crumble you. And I think that's part of what happened to Max in that game. There's a lot of outside factors that affect Max Johnson. Another that he was able to overcome at the end of last year is Cole Taylor's not ready to play Division I football. He's overmatched athletically. He gets thrown around like a rag doll in the run game, the passing game. Cole maybe runs a 4.8, 4.9. Athletically, it's just not there. I like Cole Taylor a lot. He puts in the effort. A little soft. Even Greg McElroy said it on an ESPN broadcast to millions of people. There's only 120 of you in here, but I love Cole Taylor. I love everybody that wears the purple and gold for LSU, but we have to be honest with our evaluations because right now we're sucking, and Cole Taylor has been a liability, and it's not helped Max all that much. So it leads us to this thing about Max, and we talked about this in the video earlier today, and I'm going to stop talking about Max because I did spend a long time producing our video from earlier today. And I did start a new podcast I want to tell you guys about. But I'll share this right here, okay? I am interested to see how Max is going to perform without Kayshawn, right? And we'll really get to see, is Max only good because Kayshawn Butte is arguably one of the best LSU wide receivers of all time? I mean, I think Kayshawn's already in that discussion based on what he's done already. I mean, this first year and a half is as good as it gets compared to any first year and a half of any LSU wide receiver you can think of. I mean, it's ridiculous how good this guy's been. So I do think it's going to be interesting to see Max without KB1 right there. Once again, I like Max. I like Cole Taylor. I like Liam, everyone that wears the purple and gold. But sometimes I don't like people that tiptoe around things. When you play bad, I'm going to say you play bad. And right now, Max isn't playing well. Liam's not playing well. We're working around Cole Taylor a little bit. And it's not just him. I'm not going to lie. I will say this, okay? I spoke to Will Blackwell about this week. And for those that don't know, Will Blackwell is an All-American LSU offensive lineman, okay? He played in 2011. And when we talked about Ed Ingram, Ed Ingram's an issue, okay? I won't speak on behalf of Will. He's his own person. He knows way more about offensive line play than I do. But Will tweeted something out about Ed Ingram during the game, okay? Dude, it's an issue. Ed Ingram is a major issue right now. I think he's kind of checked out, all right? I hope he's hearing this because I would like to see him play at his peak, but there are some glaring inconsistencies in his game right now, and I don't know what it is. We know he could be dominant. His South Carolina tape is legit world-class offensive guard play. He's got to be better. He has got to be better. Yeah, versus he. You've been on this for a while, and I actually agree with you. That's obviously a big thing. Zachary, I like that. Caleb Williams. Man. We were right there. We made Caleb Williams top 3. I hear that all the time. You know, Carter, we made Caleb Williams top 3. That doesn't do us any good. Top 3 don't mean a daggone thing. No, and I agree with you, Carvis. I don't know if you saw this earlier. I shouted you out because I was like, Carvis wanted me to do a video about the offense. And guess what, Carvis? You got a 20-minute video today about the offense. And I know you're busy with your PhD studies. So thanks for making some time, as always, to hang out with us. You know what's funny? Jack Mashburn had a really good game. I'm glad he's getting some love. How about this? For you old school Smash Mouth football fans, I wish Robert was still in here. I know he went to bed. I know a lot of you are enjoying Jack Mashburn's neck roll. How freaking cool is that? So you want to know what's funny? All right. So out of everyone that just got, that we just went through, Cole Taylor shouldn't be playing right now, okay? You guys know how I said from day one, Cole Taylor should be a year 3 player, okay? Because Eric Gilbert decided to do Eric Gilbert things, Cole Taylor is having to play a lot more, okay? Now his snap share has gone down. We're starting to see more Jack Mashburn and Jack Besh, which is a good thing. Cole Taylor was always a year 3 guy. Max Johnson was always a year 3 quarterback. Liam Shanahan, we should never have to rely on an Ivy League center, okay? And I'll say this, as critical as I've been at Chasen Hines, I can never accuse him of not trying, okay? Chasen Hines It's physical in the run game. They found something with him as a pulling guard. This is something that Carvis has brought up, something that we've brought up, all together. Jason Hines is at least playing hard. Okay, I will say this. Okay, this is higher on the totem pole than even Will Blackwell. All right, I did receive a call yesterday, and I won't say who it was from, but it is someone up there, right? About Ed Ingram, and it wasn't kind. Okay, so there's a concept in comedy called punching up, right? So punching up means if you're somebody, it makes more sense to go after them because they're somebody. Ed Ingram is somebody, right? This is a guy who played a lot on the 2019 National Championship team. Okay. This is somebody who a lot of people respect. And I will say it was a little out of the ordinary that I got this phone call. All right. So I might reveal who it is. I don't think he cares. But someone's opinion who I respect a lot said, look, Carter, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about Ed Ingram, right? The Kentucky game was not great, guys. It really wasn't. And he put together some good games. So he had a good game against Central Michigan. He had a good game versus McNeese. But then the Mississippi State game happened, and I was like, well, what is he doing? And what I mean by punching up or punching down is Ed Ingram is probably going to get to go to the Senior Bowl, right? And he's gonna make an NFL camp because he's really talented, right? But I'm telling you, he's got to play better if we're gonna have a chance, right? We've got to. We've got to. Oh, Joe's in here. What's good, man? I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually him. Hines at center, Deculus at guard, Wire at right tackle, Shannon. Why not? You know what I'm saying? Here's the thing that I think is insanity from Ed Orgeron. Okay? Calling for mine. Here's the thing. I think the craziest thing about this whole thing is we've not even tried new offensive linemen. Okay? Maybe Cardell is like the most extreme example of suck at practice but great in games. Maybe. Trey, I hope we get to see Nuss. Let me put it this way. Bayou Bengal, what's good, man? Cody, this wouldn't shock me at all. It wouldn't. Once again, I like everybody that wears the purple and gold and puts in the effort, but I have no idea why Orgeron hasn't tried new offensive linemen. And I know Brad Davis is the offensive line coach, and Jake Peets, of course, is the offensive coordinator. But both of these guys, this is, their first time. Well, not Brad, but this is their first time, with the big job, big boy job, right? My thing is this, okay? Bob Stoops knows way more about football than I do, okay? He's one of the greatest coaches of all time for a reason. And Bob Stoops, I know I've referenced this interview a lot, and a lot of former coaches and players, sometimes they don't give really good analysis, but this was such a great piece of analysis he did with the Herd with Colin Cowherd. He said he said that sometimes when all your players return out of position and they weren't good the year before, rarely are they going to be good the next year. Okay. And that is exactly what's happened with this LSU offensive line. Ironically, I think Deculus is playing okay, right? I don't think he's been really all that bad. I just think the middle. So, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. Missouri made a worse defensive coordinator hire than Bo Pelini. I didn't think that was possible, but they hired Kevin Wilkes, who was fired after 1 year as a coach of the Cardinals. I hate it for him, but he's doing the same thing Bo Pelini does. He's doing the same thing we do, honestly, now. Okay. You've got to do this, all right? And this is very important, all right? You don't want your defenders to sprint towards the line of scrimmage. Okay. You don't want that to happen. Now, why don't you want that to happen? Well, because offenses are so good with misdirection now. Okay. And the thing is, when you sprint guys towards the box, it can open yourself up for huge gains, right? Through the ground or through the air or whatever. Steve Wilkes. Okay. And I like Steve a lot. He'll get an NFL job once he's done in Missouri. Obviously, he's not defensive coordinator material. But Missouri does this. Like they do the same thing we do. And honestly, if you watch Georgia's defense, even though they have 4 and 5 stars everywhere, those guys cover ground. Like those guys play together. Okay. Those guys don't get out of position. Play Cardell. Max, we've gotten a few Eric Bieniemy super chats. I wouldn't mind it. Once again, I just don't think he goes to the college game. I just wouldn't. If I'm so close to getting an NFL head coaching job, somebody's going to hire him. Somebody. Okay. It may seem like never. You don't fly that close to the sun in the NFL and just never get the chance. I just think he's going to stay in the NFL. I really do. Coach O, I hope you turn it around, man. Once again, I'm an Orgeron fan. I want him to turn this thing around. Heck, if we beat Florida, you never know. You never know. Who do you think the Raiders hire after this season? Well, Bieniemy would probably. Bieniemy will. It could be Joe Brady. I know Bieniemy is number 1 on the Vegas odds, and I know Joe Brady's up there as well. Vance Joseph. would make some sense. Him and Durante. That'd be really cool. But Vance isn't on my top 10 list. And I think you would have to get another Power 5 job before you get a job like LSU. Yeah, DRC. I mean, honestly, it makes sense, right? So, like Kim Mulkey, I don't think people. Once again, we're 2 hours in. So, for those that don't know, in the live chat, if we're 2 hours in, we'll talk about different subjects. I don't think. I don't think we quite realize how big of a deal it was to get Kim Mulkey to leave her Hall of Fame job to come to LSU. Like, she obviously wanted to come back to Louisiana, and it means a lot to her. So it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't her. But you have to really do some convincing to get a coach to leave the job that she built. That was her job 110%. It's really wild. Like, I couldn't imagine Pat Summitt ever leaving Tennessee to take LSU. Or I mean, it's wild. So Scott Woodward obviously is really good at stuff like that. I don't follow women's basketball closely enough. I don't follow baseball closely enough. I know someone, I think it was Julie, that talked about baseball a little bit earlier. JT Curtis. I love it, man. Congrats on him getting to 600 wins. That was really cool. Yeah, it's pretty close to it, right? It's pretty cool. Oh, man. I can't say it enough, right? Coach O, I respect you. You gave me the happiest moment of my life. That's a good question, Max. Bruce, I think I saw your comment somewhere. I'm not sure where I saw it. I like Mario Cristobal. God, that Stanford loss a few weeks ago was so bad, but I'm not gonna lie, Bruce. This is my thing with Cristobal, right? Is I think what really bothered me about Mario Cristobal was that loss to Bo Nix in year one. But I think that loss to Bo Nix in Bo Nix's first year with Justin Herbert was actually good because it made Auburn fans way too confident in Bo Nix. And I think that win for Auburn was bad for them in the long term. Music always comes in here to talk about Urban Meyer. Are you concerned about hiring a non-Power 5, given the recent track record of non-Power 5 head coaches being horrific at big schools? All right, Max, you know what? I haven't really done so much research on this. Let me see. Non-Power 5 coaches being bad at big schools. Let's see. I'm trying to think of non-Power 5 coaches going to big schools. So who would that include? I don't know. I would need a list just off the top of my head. My brain gets fried. Scott Frost. Yeah, but that Nebraska job is a heck hole. I don't know if I'd consider Nebraska a big school anymore. Brian Harsin has done fine in the first year. Master Blaster, I just started thinking about you. Master Blaster, how many tickets do you have for every game? I'm thinking about coming to the Florida State's very interesting. Tom Herman, yeah, it's true. Heupel's doing good in year one. Let's see. Master Blaster, how many tickets do you get per game? Let's see. Oh, you get 2 per game? Only 2? Jamie Chadwell. I'm going to look into Jamie Chadwell tonight. LJ, thank you for the generous Venmo. I appreciate you, man. That's a good question, Teddy Tendergrass. I love that name and the Snoop avatar. No, I don't think. No, that was a great win for us. What's better than PHL? Huh? You know what's funny, Prez? I know you watch all the LSU channels. All of them are good. Like Scarborough, all those guys are good. Are You Serious is good. Moscona's good. I don't think any of them are. I mean, I don't sit and watch them. I mostly focus on what I'm doing, but I think everyone does a great job. I really do. I do see other SEC schools that have interesting shows, but I think most people do a really good job, right? And look, you know, I don't like being critical of LSU, right? I wish 2019 would come back and we can all be happy together, right? But right now it's unacceptable, right? And I wish I could be a little bit more jovial and upbeat. And there are a lot of things that I'm excited about. You know, even if we had the Max Johnson video today, I am excited he's getting this very valuable experience. I do know he puts in the hard work and he's, giving it his all. I'm really excited about this freshman class. There's a lot of positives around LSU. And yeah, and I there's some guys in this 2022 cycle I like a lot too. Okay. This channel made its bones in misery. Let's see here. Gotten a few really good Venmos here at the end. Okay. Do you think it's possible Scott Woodward tells Nick Saban to come home? They're friends. He's friends with his agent. I know it's not possible, but anything is possible. Oh, man. In the words of the great Kevin Garnett, I love it, man. Anything is possible. Huh? Adios, coach. I'm ready to see Nuss. Britt, I wouldn't let them hire me as head coach. It would be a dream. Don't get it twisted. Oh man. They don't need me as head coach. I'm nowhere close. I would take the pay raise and I would give it my all, but there's hundreds of high school coaches more qualified than me. I'll tell you this though. Who's a Woe Schefter of CFB? That's a good question. I guess Max, it is funny, but honestly, I don't think I'm miserable. Like I think all of us are miserable as LSU fans, but kind of like and Max, you and I have discussed this before as well. It's kind of like what we talked about in the past, right? We still got it better than most schools, like 10 times better than most schools. We still have it better than Georgia, who has a team that is really, really freaking good. But even if Georgia goes undefeated and runs the table, they're still not beating us or 2019 us. So yeah, it's even though we are miserable now, you could be a Texas A&M fan. All right. Yeah, I don't Saban. Raj, to answer your Venmo, no. Eddie, it doesn't matter to me. If you're a talented coach, you're a talented coach. I would say I would prefer an offensive-minded head coach because the game is more offensive oriented, but you can win big with defensive coaches. You can, yeah. Bug the dog is as qualified to be the coach as I am. I really am. I really do believe that. Right? She has as many games between the headset as you do. Yeah, Rajon, is he having a good year this year, Zay? I don't know. I haven't followed Rajon. I know JoJo Earl has played quite a bit for Alabama. But JoJo might turn out to be a good player at Alabama, but if JoJo would have come to LSU, Malik Neighbors would have never come to LSU, and Malik looks like he has a chance to be one of the best players in this class. I agree with this, Jonathan. And that's the thing. I still there's a piece of me that still thinks Ed Orgeron could be a successful head coach. It's just I just think there's so many different things. Like I do think Ed is talented in a lot of different ways. And like I said, I'm a big fan of his, right? I do think there were some things after the 2019 team happened that got to his head. And, sometimes as a coach, and this gets down deep into the weeds philosophically, right? You know what's funny is no one cares how you win, right? I do. I'm a process-oriented guy. I do care about how you win, but most people just don't, right? And I think the Dave Arenda thing got to Ed Orgeron's head. I think what happened was, and it makes sense because we're still basically running the same 4-3 cover one defense we ran last year with two completely different defensive coordinators, with two completely different backgrounds. I shared this in about a few live streams. I think it was about 2 or 3 live streams ago. There was a former Bo Pelini player who reached out to me and said, "Hey, Carter, I want you to know that wasn't the defense Bo Pelini wanted to run last year. I played under him, and I just want you to know that wasn't him." And I didn't believe that at first, but now that I've seen more, it does make me wonder, right? And I think what happened was sometimes as a head coach, you can get caught up in being right. Okay. You know what's funny is I've made a bunch of right predictions on this channel. I also have made a bunch of wrong predictions on this channel, right? I predicted Mo Hampton was going to be one of the best players in college football last year. Me, Mo Hampton, me. I still think he could be good. I don't know what he's doing now, but I still think he could be good. But I was wrong. But you know what's funny? In the long term, no one cares if you're right. They just don't care if you're right. They don't care if you win games with the 4-3. They don't care if you win games with the 3-4. They don't care if you win games with the 1-5-5, a 5-1-5, a 5-9-9, a 9-1-1. They don't care. People don't care. And I think Ed Orgeron was just so dead set in playing that kind of defense that it just kind of got to him. And that's what the Kentucky game showed, is that type of defense is doomed to fail against a team like Kentucky. Simple cover one reads with a mediocre quarterback, defensive tackles jumping all over the place, over penetration. A traditional 4-3 is just going to get toasted by that. But we still did it. And I just think that ultimately did him in. This is a question I've gotten a lot of from Hitstick. What do you think of giving Ed the opportunity to stay on staff as recruiting coordinator so he can save face? Not now. I would like, once again, I love Ed Orgeron. I would like to see him back at LSU in some capacity. That just can't happen now, right? It can't happen now. It's got to be one of those things where time passes and you can bring him back in as an analyst. But even then, that would be kind of strange, right? So, yeah. Aaron, I didn't see your let's go. And this 2021 class is really good. I think this 2021 class, I don't think we'll ever have a recruiting class as good as 2017. But it's got potential. It's got real potential. There's no less than 2 first-round picks in that group. Let's see. Okay, so I'm getting a lot of Eric Bieniemy questions. You guys know I like Eric Bieniemy. I don't want to bring it back up because we've talked about him so much on the live stream tonight. But long story short, he's not leaving the NFL. All these NFL offensive coordinators, Kellen Moore not leaving the NFL, Joe Brady's not leaving the NFL. Good question. Okay, this was something I was wrong about. I thought Jeray Jenkins was going to be an all-SEC receiver. Okay? Nothing really. Brian Thomas Jr. is just better. Deion Smith is just better. Now, Jure has put together a few good games in a row, receiving and blocking, and he's still good. But the thing about LSU wide receivers is that it is a pure meritocracy. Your backup is the number 2 wide receiver at most schools. Okay. Jure just got beat out by better players. Jack Bash is better. Brian Thomas Jr. is better. Jure's and Dion Smith's had a few rough games. So I think with Kayshawn's injury, you'll see more Jure. What do we know about Jure? Well, he's got good rapport with Max Johnson. Jure is good at getting open deep. He's just good at getting open, period. He's got really good football IQ. What's done Jure in is the drops. Last year, he had the best drop percentage on the team of players of 15 targets or more. This year, per SEC StatCat, he's got 4 drops, one of which was egregiously bad. It's the drops. They'll hit you at any moment. And the thing that sucks about dropping the ball at LSU is your butt is going to get benched right when it happens, and you may never see the field again. So, it's basically it. I like Jure a lot, though. You guys know I'm the president of the Jure fan club. So do y'all want to do a meetup for the Arkansas game? Let me know. I'll try my best to schedule something. Oh, Appalachian State was 4-point favorites tonight? How is Appalachian State 4-point favorite? I would have taken ULL. App State was 4-point favorites in Cajun Field with Levi Lewis at quarterback? Oh, man, I would have taken Levi all day, every day. Oh, man, I got to look at these lines. And they got a good running back, Montrell Johnson. Wait, what's the freshman running back? His jersey number is 4. I don't know if he got hurt or not. Be good, Cody. Thank you, man. That's always good, man. I'm telling you, I still get excited when I see that super chat light up. And I get even more excited when I see those Venmos and Cash Apps. Guys, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. Ba-da-ba. Branson, what's up with you, man? I'd love to meet you. Harvey says he's booking his flight tonight. Big Al says he's getting ready to pick Harvest up and they're going to the PHL meetup. Pegasus, we touched on this earlier tonight. And before we get out of here, I'll link it right here. I got 2 dislikes on here. How do I get dislikes? I get a lot of dislikes. I guess my content's garbage. I guess let's check this out right here. I think Miles Brennan should seriously consider coming back because this draft class is so weak at QB, right? I think they should seriously consider it. I really do. Let me see this. I want everybody right now. Who would you take as your number one NFL draft quarterback right now? Okay. Verlin, is this your first time in the chat? Let me know, Verlin. Let me know. Because I'll give you my honest thoughts about Jason Garrett as a head coach if this is your first time. Yes. So this is my point, Rain. If the draft class is weak this year, he should do whatever he possibly can to play the final 3 games at LSU, or at least try to play and then leave, right? Bo Nix. I would say Matt Corral too. I do think, though, a lot of teams will view the Lane Kiffin offense as very gimmicky. Okay, Verlin, this is your first time in the chat. So, Verlin, let me ask you this, okay? I want you to give me an honest opinion, Verlin. Okay, is this your first time watching the channel? And this is very important because, it's different. What is this here? Okay. Suda Kane. What's up, Suda Kane? Y'all need to give Coach O a break. Penn State didn't get rid of Paterno. What the heck does Joe Pa have to do with this? I would say Malik Willis is probably QB1 for me right now as well. Okay. Verlin, I'm going to say this. I do the best honest commentary as I possibly can. Jason Garrett would be a disastrous hire to the point where and I know you're just bringing it up. He might be your number one candidate. I don't know. I know, Verlin, since this is your first time watching the channel, I don't want you to get run off because, I'm shooting down your idea. I want you to feel welcome. So everyone make Verlin feel welcome. Give him some clapping emojis because Jason Garrett is everything I don't want in an NFL head coach. Everything I don't want, or as LSU's head coach, is Jason Garrett. So, yeah. So, Verlin, I want you to feel welcome. I want you to keep coming back to live streams. But no. Okay, Jason Garrett, currently with the Giants, right? They run the most prehistoric offensive scheme I think I've ever seen with very little imagination. And I know Daniel Jones is their quarterback, but still. Number 2, the Giants are one of the most conservative teams on fourth down on the planet, okay? And you guys know how I am about that. Number 3, Jason Garrett is filthy rich. What does he have to gain? He has nothing to gain as a head coach of the LSU Tigers. So, yeah, Verlin, I'm sorry, I'm not on the Jason Garrett train. But I like outside the box ideas. I haven't heard that name in a minute. And some people might like Jason Garrett. He won a lot of games at Dallas. Still not my guy. Exactly, Rain. I don't know. I don't know how you do that. Man, I would have taken UL with 4 points. They're up by 21. Verlin hadn't commented after that. I wonder if Verlin is Jason Garrett's burner. Huh? Hugh Freeze would be your choice. You know what's funny? I haven't talked a whole lot about Hugh Freeze. I would like Hugh Freeze a lot. Offensive innovator. I didn't like the way he coached the Syracuse game, but he'll get a lot out of your quarterback. So yeah, I like it. I'm fine with Hugh Freeze. Now, obviously, Title IX stuff comes in, but Hugh Freeze's situation is a little bit different, right? Now, once again, is Baton Rouge necessarily the best place in the world for a coach who had burner phone issues? No. Okay. I lived in Baton Rouge for a while. The Cougars are always on the prowl. Okay. They just are. So you'd have to keep a close eye, and you'd better make sure he had 5 burner phones. But I think he's over that. And I'm not joking about that. It's not, it's just not the best place. But yeah. From what I heard, the 2019 class had a mission. Once Gilbert left and Finley transferred, now Stingley is injured and the team is falling apart. That's not Orgeron's fault. Okay. I'm just trying to put this together. So Gilbert was a member. So Rain brought this up. Gilbert was a member of the 2020 class. TJ was as well. And Stingley was a member of the 2019 class. 2019 class had a mission. I don't know. I'll say this, though, and I've brought this up a few times. The 2019 LSU recruiting class will go down as one of the worst, if not the worst, of the modern era. Now, that's no disrespect to any of those players. This is just simply from a pure production standpoint. Some of those players turned out to be really good. Jay Ward, Cordell Flott, they're good SEC football players. Obviously, Derek Stingley was exceptional for a season. And then obviously the injuries. TDP is a good Tiger. He shows up, puts in the work, does all the right things. But for the most part, this class just wasn't that great. And I think even they would say that they have fallen short of expectations. Now, I don't know what you mean by a mission per se, but they won a national championship. So, I guess mission accomplished. I don't think Gundy was ever going to leave Oklahoma State. I just don't. Here's why I don't think he would ever leave there. Because that program is his. Okay, kind of like Clemson is Dabo Swinney's. There's something to be said about being the program, right? When you think of Oklahoma State football, boom, first thought is Mike Gundy, right? When you think Ohio State football, your first thought is not Ryan Day. Your first thought probably isn't even Urban Meyer. So there is something to be said about that. Mike Gundy's obviously super talented. I just don't think he would ever leave Oklahoma State. Matt Campbell's very interesting. Greg Roman would be also very interesting. As always, though, I go back to offensive coordinators in the NFL that coach elite quarterbacks. It's the best job on the planet. It really is. It really is. I mean, you don't have to speak to the media. Well, NFL coordinators do speak to the media, but the pressure's not on you, right? And you're coaching Lamar freaking Jackson, okay? He's not leaving, okay? You have Lamar for no less than 5 to 10 more years of prime. He's only getting better, okay? I freaking love Lamar. The same way I love Mahomes, the same way I love Dak. Those guys aren't getting any worse. They're only going to get better. So if I'm an NFL offensive coordinator, I know that guy is always going to be there. And if I have that guy, my job is pretty safe. It's just true. Now, you could be horrible and waste a guy. And it is ironic, and every one of you know this, that Pete Carroll's not going to survive this season. Now, Seattle's going to move off of him. You can't waste another year of Russell Wilson's prime. He's hurt. They wasted 2 really good Russell Wilson years these past couple of seasons. You just can't do that, right? So, yeah, the best thing to do, Lamar Jackson will be a backup in 3 years. RG3 Jr., Rain, you are so much smarter than that. I don't. Lamar is not a top 5 QB for me. I would lean slightly taking Dak over Lamar, but even then, that's tough. Lamar has accomplished 5 times what RG3 has accomplished, and it's just true. Yeah, he led an amazing comeback. He sucked early on. Some people have bad games. The Ravens have gotten very lucky. But yeah, Lamar's great. Lamar's great. Is he amazing? No. Well, no, he is amazing. But is he like a Holmes, Josh Allen level? Probably not. But he's won an MVP, won a playoff game last season. Dion Sanders. I've heard that name a few times. He's going to wait for the Florida State job to open up, right? If Dion Sanders won big at LSU, it would be a big deal. But if he won big at Florida State, it would be like beyond legendary, right? There's no chance. And you know what? Jimbo Fisher is taking a slightly better job at LSU. No. You're not taking Dak over Lamar? Lamar's really good, Dan. Lamar's really good. I just don't get the Lamar and RG3 comparisons. They RG3 was never close to being as good as Lamar. Not even close, really. I don't get it. I don't get it. And you look at Lamar is the best runner in the NFL. If you look at like stats like EPA per play. So yeah, Lamar is definitely top 10 and borderline top 5, right? So, the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL is Mahomes, Brady, Allen, probably Herbert, and Kyler. Those are probably the 5 best QBs playing right now. Okay. And then Lamar is in that next category with Dak, right? Lamar's a beast. Oh yeah, that guy. Huh? Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is better than Dak. Now it's a different question if you get into who do you want to take for like the next 5 years or whatever. Then it gets a little different. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers, right? So then the top 5 would be right now would be Mahomes, Allen, Brady, Kyler, and Rodgers and Dak. That's 6 though. Those 6 are the best though. And then Lamar 7 or Lamar 6 or 7 with Dak. And then Herbert. What about Herbert? I could argue Herbert is playing better than any of them. But that's the most important thing. So for those that didn't see this, I had a viral tweet today because apparently it's a big deal for everyone to tweet out how great Lamar is when it's just obvious he's great. Lamar couldn't do squat against Dave Aranda's defense. How many of you went to that game in Orlando? I want to know. I was at that game, and I ate so much Buffalo Wild Wings. Oh, it was so great. I saw Tom Segura the night before. That was so cool. And it was New Year's Eve. It was just me and my dad. It was so much fun, man. I'm a big Russell Wilson guy. He's hurt, though. So Mahomes is playing really well. His defense is so bad, though, right now. So the top 10 would then be Herbert, Brady, Mahomes, Allen, Rodgers, Kyler. But see, Kyler's probably had the best 5 weeks, period. Right? From start to finish. He's 5-0. This last week was his only game where he wasn't like just great. And then it's Dak, who's also playing ridiculous. There's just so many good quarterbacks in the NFL right now. So let me see. Let me pull this up really quickly. I do an NFL podcast now. Let me see. But it's football card related. Let me pull up the YouTube channel. I launched it with my buddy Andy. And there it is right here. We just launched it, and it's a podcast. You can listen to it on all kinds of different platforms. So if you can, guys, please go subscribe to this channel. Okay. Matthew Stafford's up there too. I just don't think he's playing as good as those guys, right? Yeah, I mean, the Badger can't really do anything about that. Bahrain, I still can't believe Lamar is RG3 Jr. If Lamar retired today, he wouldn't be a Hall of Fame quarterback, but he would. This is a ridiculous thing. Jameis, So if you guys go to that link, that's my NFL football card podcast I do with my buddy Andy. So go subscribe. A lot of fun. And then on that page, you can see me holding a Quan Alexander card. That's so you're Rain. I'm going to hold you to this. You said RG3 in a couple of seasons. That's a hardcore take. Rain, I'll match your NFL quarterback take. The Master Blaster is back. So, Tony, I would go to the Arkansas game with you. I was inviting myself, but Haley wants to come. So I'm going to have to find tickets. And then my buddy who's an offensive coordinator in Sweden also wants to come. All right, Rain, I'll match your take. Okay. And you guys know I felt this way for quite some time. I never understood the Trevor Lawrence hype. I'll always say this, athletically, he's probably the most gifted quarterback you'll ever see, not named Cam Newton. He runs 4.5. He's got an arm unlike anyone that you'll see. I've never seen a quarterback running to his left that throws a football better as a right-handed quarterback. Trevor Lawrence has a great personality. He's got $1 million smile. He does everything the right way. I love Trevor Lawrence personally. He doesn't take himself too seriously. With that said, I just don't know if he's ever just going to be great, right? You can have all the talent in the world. It just doesn't necessarily mean you're ever going to dominate, right? It's kind of like what would be a good I'm trying to think of a good way to who's a good comparison to Trevor Lawrence. I would say I don't think, but here's the thing. I don't think he's going to RG3 is a really good analyst. Okay. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is like going to be a bust, right? But even Colin Kaepernick was like dominant. I just think Trevor Lawrence is going to put up some years where he has like good numbers. But still, like, yeah, but you see, Matt Leinart wasn't an elite athlete. He didn't have a Trevor Lawrence arm, and he wasn't a dual threat like Trevor Lawrence, who's like really underrated runner. Okay. Not even Matt Ryan, though, because Matt Ryan might go in the Hall of Fame. I don't think Trevor Lawrence will ever be a Pro Bowler. I just don't know, especially in Jacksonville, right? I just don't know. I don't know what it is about Trevor Lawrence. It just never he looks like a dominant quarterback. It's just he's never just dominant. Let me try and think of a good sports comparison to Trevor Lawrence. Somebody who was just really talented, but never really just elite. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I like him a lot. It looks like he could be a great quarterback. It's just, I don't know. He doesn't ever really just dominate games, right? Drew Bledsoe, I could see because Drew Bledsoe had a cannon. But yeah, Archie Manning's not bad. Donovan McNabb, yeah, I could kind of see that. I could see Trevor Lawrence having Donovan McNabb type of career. And you know, he's going to have to get a coach. This is it. This is it. Okay, this is it. All right, Jadeveon Clowney. It's a very good comparison. Okay, unbelievable freak nature, number 1 overall pick at his position. That's a great one, Kevin. That's it. Okay, Jadeveon Clowney is a really good NFL player. All right, and honestly, Trevor Lawrence is going to make a few Pro Bowls. I just don't know if he's ever just going to be unbelievable, right? I think Clowney is like just the perfect comparison. All-time elite athlete, college legend, but never was like just, well, Clowney's sophomore year, he was the best player. But, you know, after that, he's never really just been the best NFL end. And Trevor Lawrence has never been like just the best college quarterback. He's never been like just the best. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. We are going to go ahead and sign off here. Unless you guys have any more super chats, I will happily answer any super chats. The state of South Carolina creates disappointments is what we're. Isn't Trevor from Georgia? Isn't that it? All right, guys. It was fun. Okay. Now, I will say this. I'm not so sure if we're going to do a video tomorrow because I do have a dentist appointment tomorrow and my back right tooth is extremely janked up. In fact, it is hurting like crazy. However, before I go to the dentist tomorrow, I will be on Off the Bench tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Central Time. Okay? We'll see you tomorrow morning. So we may or may not do a video tomorrow at 6. It depends on how I'm feeling. My tooth is really janked up. Really janked up back here. It hurts a lot. So, yeah. App State, let's go. Not. I will say their campus is beautiful. UL Cajuns. I can't believe that Vegas disrespected UL and gave them 4 points at home. 4 points with Billy Napier with a public job interview. It is. It is. If you want to see our Garrett Nussmeyer video from earlier today, there you go. It is. Right there. Power Hour. LSU. Boom. Let's go.